Hey, so we're doing this guy again. I wasn't really planning to, because the last video that we looked at was so inarticulate. But then I caught him on a debate with Steve McRae, and I was surprised how articulate he sounds in real time. Check this out.
You're very rhetorically sound, and I appreciate that. But what I'm trying to say is that I think they approach it from what they think to be logical or rational, but I think that in doing so, they're not being rational in their position. And I also think they're being inconsistent and the reason I say that is because we have to accept the fact that philosophically speaking, atheism cannot posit anything objectively because it's a philosophically subjective position.
So I thought, okay, maybe that last video, maybe that was just a bad showing. Had a couple of sips of something, wasn't really thinking too clearly. So all right then, let's check out another one and we'll see if that's any better. Thank you for not starting the video by wiping your nose. You could have maybe edited out the throat clearing, but I'll take the little wins where I can.
Good day to you, friends.
Hi. I don't see the Christmas tree. Where's the Christmas tree?
Brother Rob with you once again.
How's it going, brother? I love that rolling banding effect. Is that going to go on for the whole video? It really improves the ambiance.
So, today I want to address a common fallacy from atheists.
Good idea correcting that. On the rare occasion that I've spoken with atheism, it didn't have all that much to say, fallacious or otherwise.
Which is deflection. I'm like the most common deflection that atheists will give to Christians and or theists, such as myself, which is they always say the burden of proof is on us.
Oh, this again. I don't know what I was expecting. Why am I surprised?
Because we claim to say that God exists.
Yeah, right. You have the burden of proof because you make a claim. If you make a claim and you expect someone else to actually believe your claim, and they don't believe your claim, then it's not their job to establish the truth of your claim for you, it's your job. You have the burden, you chose to take it on, nobody else is responsible for it.
Now, of course, it's true that when you say that God exists, that there's burden of proof upon such a claim.
Oh, okay, I guess that's that job done. Do you need anything else from me before I go, or?
But the thing is, atheism, in like manner, also has the burden of proof.
Yeah, if somebody says to you, God doesn't exist, then yeah, that's their claim to back up if they feel like it. You don't have to back it up. It's not your claim. You can just sit back in your lawn chair and drink a margarita.
And the reason being is, anyone who makes a truth claim has the burden of proof to back up said claim.
Yeah. Did somebody tell you otherwise? Who are you talking about? I want to talk to this person right now. This person needs to be punished immediately.
So if you say, I don't believe God exists, you have the burden of proof to back that up.
Hold on. If I say, I don't believe God exists, I have the burden of proof. To prove what? That I don't believe it? Okay, I guess I can try. What do you want me to do? Some kind of a brain scan? Doesn't seem very practical. I don't really see any feasible way to establish the truth of such a thing to you over the internet, short of just saying it to you. If you don't believe me when I say it, then okay, I guess. I don't really have a lot of options, but that's your prerogative. If you don't believe it, you don't believe it. I guess I'll just go talk to someone else.
If you say, I don't believe there's sufficient evidence to believe that a God exists, you have the burden of proof to back up that claim.
Okay, but again, I don't think engaging in some sort of brain scan thing to establish the fact that I don't believe it is really that practical when we're arguing on the internet. So again, at that point, if you deny the fact that I don't believe the thing, that's sort of just a conversation ender. There's not much reason to continue beyond that point, right?
So, atheists need to stop this nonsense thinking that the burden of proof is only on theists to back up and support the existence of God.
The burden of proof is not only on theists. Yeah, if I claim I don't believe you about something, then sure, the burden of proof is on me to prove that I don't believe it. But I don't really have a very conclusive way to demonstrate to you that that claim is true. So, okay, if you challenge me on that point, you got me. I can't prove it to you, sorry. I guess you pwned me.
Now, I'll give you 5, again, brief good reasons to believe that God exists.
Okay, and I'll probably tell you that I don't think any of them are very good reasons, but I'm afraid all I can do is ask you to take me at my word that that is in fact my opinion. Yeah, I know, I'm a horrible failure.
One is objective morality.
That reason sucks. See, I told you I didn't think they'd be good.
Without God, there is no such thing as objective morality.
I don't think there is either way, but I think it's entirely possible to come up with a form of objective morality that doesn't involve a god. But to be honest, it doesn't really bother me too much if you guys want to claim objective morality for yourselves. The atheists on the objective morality side can squabble with you if they feel like. Personally, I find objective morality pretty silly, so if you want it, you can have it.
And everyone with half a brain, or more...
Hold on, let me count my halves. 1, 2, 3. 3 halves, which is more than a half?
Knows that objective morality exists.
But my third half of my brain tells me it don't.
You know that it's always objectively, morally evil and wicked to
do the bad thing, do another bad thing, do another other bad other bad one.
It's always morally evil to rob a bank.
Okay, that last one I let slide because it won't get me demonetized.
Take someone's life without just cause. And that's right, I said just cause, because...
No, because I don't need to hear your justification for why justly taking a life is justified. Squirrel voice. Wow, that was well over 2 minutes, which kind of irritated me when I first realized it, but then I realized that's over 2 minutes of your video I don't actually have to respond to, which means it was actually an act of mercy. You've relieved some of my pain. I don't know how to thank you for that.
But even in atheism, you can't even say that it's wrong to stab someone to death.
It's wrong to stab someone to death. There, I just said it.
Or that's wrong to even kill, rape, or steal.
Yeah, that's wrong too. I say so. I'm afraid your assertion is false. Yeah.
You can only say it's your opinion that those things are wrong.
That's literally the exact same thing as saying they're wrong. There is no distinction between these two things.
See, without God, there's no objective morality.
You weren't talking about objective morality. You were talking about whether you can say something's wrong, which you obviously can. Yeah, sure, you can't make something be objectively wrong by saying it's wrong. Of course you can't do that. Why would I expect to be able to do that? What am I, some kind of magic man?
And again, which isn't to say that atheists can't be moral. They can be. Of course atheists can be moral.
Yeah, we engage in moral behavior and moralizing all the time. Some of us even think our moralizing is based on some objective fact out there in the world.
Any person can be moral.
Yes, anyone from any culture with any belief can do morality. It's a human instinct.
God wrote his moral law on our hearts.
I wouldn't put it quite that way, but yeah, that's a way to say that it's instinctive. Of course, what the moral law is differs wildly between people, but people having one is damn near universal. That's the part that's instinctive, the broad general thing of doing this kind of thing, not the nitty-gritty details. People are not born believing in Christian morality.
Which is why Paul wrote in the New Testament that the Gentiles, even though they don't have the truth of the word to them, obey the law in many matters because God has written his law on the heart of men.
They obey the law in many matters. Yeah, so what it says in Romans 2:14 is, "For when the Gentiles which have not the law do by nature the things contained in the law, these having not the law are a law unto themselves." And then it says that it's written on their hearts, which I guess is meant to imply that Jews and Gentiles think the same things are moral because Jews and Gentiles take the same moral actions. They show through their actions that they have the same moral beliefs written on their hearts. But the funny thing is, we don't even have to leave this chapter of Romans to see that that's false. Verse 24, "For the name of God is blasphemed among the Gentiles through you, as it is written," which sounds like a behavioral moral difference between Gentiles and Jews. And this is the problem, is that whenever we start to get into this attempt to say that everyone has the same exact moral opinions, there's always an exception. There's always a difference in the detail, especially across different cultural groups. Yeah, to an extent, you can point at the really extreme stuff and say most people have a taboo against that, because that kind of stuff is what's typically really, really destructive to the society and even to the individual. People discourage that kind of behavior for really obvious practical reasons. The outcomes of it are basically universal across all human societies, to the point that even nature itself will discourage that kind of behavior through natural selection, leading to it becoming instinctive to some degree. But this is not the case, at least not nearly to the same extent with the less extreme stuff. Modesty laws or dietary dietary laws, or laws about keeping the Sabbath, laws about blaspheming the Jewish God. These kind of things are not at all universal, because whatever practical usefulness you might argue that they have, it's not strong enough. The survival pressure of it is not significant enough to make it spread throughout the entire human population. And in a lot of cases, these rules are very culturally specific, to the point that they refer to specific gods and very, very specific practices, which won't arise independently in separated cultures unless those cultures collide and one culture tells the other culture, hey, do what I tell you. The law is written on their hearts, you can see it by the way they act stuff, just doesn't pass muster with anything less than the most extreme examples. And even with those, there are cultural exceptions.
So again, it's not that non-Christians can't do good or moral. Of course they can. But they can't justify morality.
I can justify it just fine. You step too far over my line, we're going to have a problem. You stay on your side, I'll stay on my side, and everything will be just fine.
Atheists especially. Atheists can't justify morality.
I just did.
Atheists can't justify morality. Now, theists can, regardless. A Muslim could, a Christian can, a Jew can, because we defer to a creator who is the source of all morality, whereas an atheist, the morality is just subjective from one person to the next. But
again, no, not necessarily. Objective morality is a different question from atheism. But in my opinion, yeah, morality is subjective. It's a thing people believe, but that doesn't make it factually true outside of those people. It's an opinion, which is completely fine. That's the world we live in. We deal with it every day. Everything about the way humans act appears to back that up. I don't know what the objection is to it other than that just bothers you. But what bothers you doesn't matter. Now, you were trying to use this as an argument for the existence of God. The point when you started here was that objective morality exists and everyone knows it, and objective morality can't exist without a God, therefore God exists. Except now you've just said that the atheists who you're trying to convince with this argument don't accept the premise that objective morality exists. And in fact, I reject both of your premises. So your opinion on what morality is really beside the point. This is an argument for God that you're making to try to convince people who you say don't accept at least one of your premises, which means it's already failed before it even starts. You might as well have saved your breath.
Problem with subjective morality, of course, is one, it's a self-defeating proposition. You can't, because if you say there's no such a thing as objective morality, that's a self-defeating proposition because you've just stated objectively that there are no objective morals.
Yes, I believe it is an objective fact that there is no objective morality. Not believing morality is objective does not mean you don't believe truth is objective. You see how they're two different words, right? Morality, truth. Did you ever try to think your way through why that might be?
And you can't live it out. You can't live your life in a way as though you act as if morals are subjective. It just doesn't work.
Yes, it does. I do that every day. And not only that, but I'm aware that my morality has changed and evolved over time. In fact, I update it quite regularly based on new information. Intentionally, knowingly. I know that it's not some objective, unchanging thing. And I know it doesn't come from outside of me, although, of course, it's influenced by things outside of me. And I know this because I've spent many years purposefully and carefully building it myself. I don't go through my life pretending like my moral opinions are some objectively true fact of the universe. Why would I act like that? What would it bring? Now, of course, yes, I go through my life evaluating the objective concordance of actions with my personal standards, because that is an objective fact. If I define a standard, then actions either will or won't line up well to that standard. Or in some cases, maybe they're a little murky in gray zone. But that's very different from behaving as if the standard itself was handed down to me from fundamental reality. I don't do that in any way whatsoever.
You can't do it. No one can.
Then why do I do it all the time?
Because you know better.
Yes, I know better than you, and that's why I'm telling you that I can and do go through my life knowing and acting as if my moral opinions are just opinions.
I know better.
You don't know anything.
It's fallacious to think that this is a morally subjective world.
Fallacious how? What fallacy? Name the fallacy.
We don't live in a moral...
Like, if morals were subjective, we couldn't even put someone in jail.
Yes, we could. Putting someone in jail is not dependent on morality being objective. It's not even really dependent on morality at all. It's about the law and the application of the law.
Why do we put people in jail?
Because they either broke the law or didn't, and somebody thought they did, and then caught them and put them in jail.
Because we're moral creatures.
No, because we have a justice system. Have you ever found yourself saying, hey, why'd they arrest that guy? Why'd they put that guy in jail? He didn't do anything wrong. Well, then you've just established why what you're talking about is not based in objective morality, it's just based in the law.
Moral creatures punish people who violate moral laws.
Sometimes, yeah, but that's a different topic. We're talking about the criminal justice system, the legal system. If you want to just talk about the fact that people with moral positions respond based on those moral positions to other people's actions, then fine, why don't we talk about that? Because yeah, I agree people do morality. It doesn't really need to be talked about again, but it is much more relevant to the topic of the video than is the criminal justice system.
Which is precisely what we do.
Yes, regardless of whether morality is some sort of objective fact or a subjective opinion, that's what we do. In either case, anyone acting morally may believe morality is objective or may believe morality is subjective and will act in accordance with that, which of course has no impact on what morality actually is or is not. And of course, believing it's objective or subjective doesn't change the fact that you believe it's a thing. Either way, it's a thing you can do. This is incredibly simple. I don't understand why you're finding this difficult.
If someone murders, we put those people in jail. Someone rapes, we put those people in jail. Someone commits assault, we put those people in jail. Why?
Because the law says so. It doesn't really matter what you think. The reason the person is put in jail is because of the law, not because of your moral positions and not even because of the moral positions of the employees of the justice system. If you think some kind of a change in your personal opinion of what's moral will affect some kind of a change in who goes to jail for what, I think you're gravely mistaken.
Because we're moral creatures who punish people who violate moral laws.
No, because you have a government that makes laws and enforces them. This has very little ultimately to do with you. I mean, you can advocate for change and stuff, and maybe sometimes you'll actually have success. But yeah, you having moral feelies is not the reason there's a justice system in your country.
Now, if a cat were to kill a mouse, we wouldn't say, oh, that cat's being immoral. No, why?
Well, assuming I thought it was immoral to eat a mouse, which I don't. It's a cat. Why would I tell it my moral opinions? Cats are stupid. It wouldn't even understand what I was talking about. Cats can't even understand language. They can barely even be trained, really. If I ramble at it about, hey, listen to me. What you just did to that mouse was very, very mean. I have serious moral issues with this. The cat's just gonna look at me blankly and then go eat another mouse. Even if it could somehow understand my words, it doesn't have the cognitive ability to understand the concept. So why would I bother trying to apply that kind of thing to it? That'd be a stupid waste of time. The reason I'll talk about my moral positions with a human like you is because there's at least some chance that maybe you'll get what I'm talking about. If I think you really ought morally to stop doing something, I can try to admonish you for it. I can try to make you feel shame about it. Maybe I can even punish you for it and tell you, okay, listen, this punishment is for that thing you did 6 months ago, so once the punishment's over, don't do that again, because otherwise I'll do it again, with the expectation that maybe you'll get the point I'm trying to get across and change your behavior. Morality is not the only thing that we do with humans and not with cats. We tend to behave towards different organisms in accordance with how well we think they'll understand what's going on. And of course in accordance with how much we actually care about that interaction. I really don't care that much what a cat does.
Because a cat is not a moral creature.
Or that. I might as well not even have bothered, eh? Might as well just treat you the same as the cat.
I have nothing against cats. I don't mind cats.
Why do you think I would think you have something against cats? Very random.
But if animals kill animals, they're not being immoral. They're just living out instincts.
I don't know you, but my guess is you probably kill animals for food too, or at least eat animals that were killed for food. Or are you a vegan Christian? Are you immoral for eating other animals? And if not, why would the cat be? Either way, this is just a specific example to talk about the general idea of whether cats can have morality apply to them. To which I would say, if cats had evolved language and the need to care that much about the behavior of other cats, they probably would call each other immoral at times. But they took a different path. Yes, cats are a different organism from humans. Yes, cats have different behaviors from humans. This information is neither new nor interesting.
Of course, human beings have instincts as well.
Yeah, like doing morality. We have different instincts from a cat, because we're not a cat. Cats have different instincts from dogs, because a cat's not a dog. Different types of animals are different. Thank you for edumacating me.
One of those, the primary ones being the desire to live.
And you don't think the desire to live might have anything to do with things like the moral disapproval of murder? No? You don't think there's any natural reason to have some kind of a distaste for that? Okay, fine.
But we're not only instinctive. We have a conscience. We have morals.
But I repeat myself. Well, okay, not quite. I mean, conscience and morals are also heavily culturally influenced. To reduce it to just instinct is going way too far, but I think instinct plays a big part.
So we make decisions. We make more, and so that's again. So we're moral creatures. So, but if I were to kill a human being without just cause.
Look, you sound half asleep and you're rubbing your eyes. Do you want to have a nap or something? Should I come back later?
Then I would go to jail because I'm a moral creature violating a moral law.
Again, I think you've really badly misunderstood why jails exist. You might want to look into that. That is important to understand. I'm not saying you're going to ever need that information, but then again, I'm not going to say you won't. You never know what's going to happen.
So so even if I were to kill a cat, I might get fined, but I'm certainly not going to go to jail for it.
I don't know where you live, but in my country, yes, you will, depending on what exactly you did.
But if I kill a human being unjustly, then I'm going to go to jail for a long, long time.
No, not certainly. Far from certainly. But yes, depending on if you get caught and what the evidence is and the circumstances of the trial and everything, you could, yeah. The system is built more or less overall to discourage murder. Of course, the details of that vary quite widely between countries, including what they consider to be a justification for killing, which already you should be taking as a problem. But generally speaking, yeah. Governments generally implement murder laws, and for the most part, those laws tend to have pretty wide approval because people don't like murder, because people have an instinct to live, and to live without too much fear of people murdering each other. That's a pretty obvious thing for a very social species like us to be interested in. You're saying these things like they're supposed to induce some sort of a deep quandary. I'm not really seeing how you see a problem here, though.
Let's see. And atheism can answer questions like this. It can't.
You done? Okay, well, yeah, you're right. Atheism can't answer questions like this, because atheism doesn't answer questions. Certainly not on random rambling about morality and prison. Why are you expecting atheism to answer the question? This whole time, I've been answering the question, but I'm not atheism, and I'm not using atheism to answer the question. Atheism has nothing to do with it. Why is it so hard for people to distinguish between obviously distinct concepts?
The other thing that, of course, that atheism cannot and will not ever be able to account for is the origins of life.
Yes, I agree. The position of not believing in God will not account for the origins of life. Nor will it attempt to, because that's a question on a completely different topic. See, obviously different things, and there's no recognition of it.
Now, it's interesting to me, as well as many other theists, that atheists will say there is no God, but they will say that doesn't mean... we'll see, if you ask them how the origins of life, a lot of them will say we don't know, but that doesn't mean God did it.
Yeah, that's precisely correct. If you don't know how life started, that doesn't mean God did it. Now, if someone's saying there is no God, as you said, then yeah, probably it's a good idea for them to have some other justification for that. If they're trying to use something like, I don't know how life started, but that doesn't mean God did it, as a justification for saying there is no God, yeah, that's dumb. You should have something else, which maybe they do. If you don't know how life started, that doesn't mean you have to believe in God. And if you don't know how life started, that doesn't mean you can't have arguments against the existence of God. These are not incompatible.
I always think it's amusing that so many atheists...
Just do another take. Do you know how many takes I do to get rid of all my throat clearing and coughing and sneezing and stuff? You could do that too. Take any pride in your work.
Say they don't know how it worked. They don't know how life started, but they know that it doesn't mean God did it.
Yeah, but that's obviously true. If you don't know how life started, that doesn't mean God did it. God isn't the default conclusion for any answer you don't know yet. If you don't know, you don't know. It actually doesn't mean God did it. So that's entirely reasonable to say.
Well, it doesn't mean he didn't either. I mean...
Yeah, and it doesn't mean he did. So why would I jump to the conclusion that he did? Well, you don't know he didn't do it. Yes, so what? I don't form beliefs about what's true based on just not being sure that any random thing any random person proposes didn't happen. Give me a reason to think it did, then we'll talk. Until then, I don't believe you're right. Deal with it. You said at the start you have the burden of proof, so take it.
If an atheist is honest with themselves, if atheists would be honest with themselves, they know that they can't logically rule God out for the origins of life, but that's the thing they're trying to do.
Well, God by certain definitions, I think, can be logically ruled out, given the fact that God by certain definitions is logically self-contradictory. But yeah, I'm not ruling anything out. I just think on balance, you're more likely wrong than right. Shift my understanding of that balance and I'll change my mind. It's not ruled out. Nothing's set in stone here.
Anyways, that's all for now, folks.
Glad to hear it.
Peace out, Brother Rob.
All right, bro, peace. Why did you just rip me off the top of the laptop and stick me on the desk? Is that what you have to do to make your webcam stop recording? Never seen that feature before. Well, thank you all for watching. If you would, before you go, please do give the video a like and click subscribe if you haven't. And if you like the channel, maybe consider supporting. A couple of bucks per video or per month helps a huge amount, and enormous thanks to all of my supporters who've already made that choice. Early access, email list, list.logicked.com, and I'll see you next time.